What's going on YouTube? My name is Josh and I am back with another NBA video. Not many players in NBA history have ever had as much power as LeBron James. So you would think that when the Cavs are making a big decision, they would have LeBron James involved in some way. But after the news of David Griffin departing the Cleveland Cavaliers, it seems as if LeBron and owner Dan Gilbert are not on the same page. And that could spell big problems for not only Cleveland, but also Dan Gilbert. Dan Gilbert and LeBron James have had a feud for years. Back in 2010 when LeBron made the decision to go to Miami, Dan Gilbert wrote that ruthless and vicious letter to LeBron James that absolutely disrespected not only him, but his family and everything he stood for. And since that moment, I'm sure LeBron didn't have too much respect for Dan Gilbert. He did come back to Cleveland, but he definitely didn't come back just for Dan Gilbert. He came back to win a championship for his hometown team. And with Gilbert's decision this past Monday, there's a chance that LeBron will leave Cleveland when his contract is up next season. So in this video, I'll be talking about that exact topic. But before I get into this video, if you guys enjoy NBA and basketball content, be sure to hit that subscribe button and also hit that like button. But without further ado, let's get into it. So David Griffin and Dan Gilbert could not come to an agreement on a contract extension. In fact, in Gilbert's 12 years of being an owner, he has never re-signed a general manager, despite David Griffin being the best one he's had so far. And when the decision was made to let go of David Griffin, he did not contact his most prized possession, LeBron James. LeBron has mentioned several times that he wants David Griffin to be re-signed. I mean, Griffin is respected by LeBron in many ways. LeBron tweeted yesterday, "If no one appreciated you, Griff, I did, and hopefully all the people of Cleveland. That's for what you did for the team for 3 years. We got us one." Now that opening sentence speaks volumes. David Griffin did so much for LeBron and so much for LeBron's legacy. Now let's take a look back at everything David Griffin has done for this Cavaliers organization. He was hired by the Cavaliers to be the general manager back in 2014, and LeBron made the decision to join the Cavs that same summer. So Griffin's first big move was when he traded for Kevin Love, a deal that sent Andrew Wiggins and Anthony Bennett to Minnesota for all-star Kevin Love, and it was a great trade. During that season, the Cavs were struggling, and they traded for J.R. Smith, Iman Shumpert, and Timothy Mozgov. 3 guys who would be key pieces for the Cavs during their championship runs in 2015 and in 2016. And obviously they did lose in 2015, but still J.R. Smith, Shump, and Mozgov all started for the Cavaliers. The following season, they signed Richard Jefferson, and then they traded for Channing Frye, who was another huge piece for the championship team in 2016. And obviously, David Griffin led the Cavaliers to their first ever franchise title in 2016. The following year in 2017, Griffin made even more moves. Despite losing Delly and Mozgov in free agency, he picked up Mike Dunleavy. Now, Mike Dunleavy wasn't a great player, but he used Mike Dunleavy to trade for Kyle Korver in a deal that sent Mo Williams, who wasn't going to play for the Cavs anyways, and Mike Dunleavy to Atlanta for Kyle Korver. A couple weeks later, they signed Derek Williams, the second pick in the 2011 NBA draft, and a player with a lot of athleticism and a guy who has some potential in this league. Fast forward a couple more weeks, and during the All-Star break, the Cavs brought in Darren Williams and Andrew Bogut, 2 players who were brought in by David Griffin. Bogut would suffer some injuries, so they would bring in Larry Sanders, and then Sanders would get cut eventually, and they'd bring in 7'4" center Eddie Tavares. And even though they lost the 2017 NBA championship, David Griffin made so many moves for this team, and without him, they wouldn't have had nearly the amount of success that they had. So over this 3-year span, Griffin probably has the most accomplishments out of any GM in the league, with maybe the exception of Bob Myers in Golden State, who brought in Kevin Durant. But even then, Griffin accomplished a lot within a 3-year stretch. So the fact that Dan Gilbert let David Griffin walk away is so questionable. And reports came out yesterday that LeBron is disappointed and concerned about Griffin's departure. James had advocated so many times for Griffin to get an extension, and that never happened. The season went by, and Dan Gilbert never offered David Griffin an extension. So Dan Gilbert let go of probably one of the only guys on this team that LeBron truly trusts. Because earlier this season, LeBron was begging that he needed a playmaker, and David Griffin went out and got it. David Griffin did everything for LeBron and brought in all the players necessary to compete for a championship. And even though they were unsuccessful this year, they've had a lot of success in the past. And LeBron definitely trusts David Griffin. So by letting go of David Griffin without LeBron's consent or even contacting LeBron to begin with, there's definitely a huge trust issue between owner Dan Gilbert and LeBron James. And why would LeBron want to play for an owner that he doesn't trust? And I'm sure Dan Gilbert wasn't the only guy in charge of this decision. The Cavs have other owners and other people a part of that front office. And the fact that LeBron wasn't even contacted is pretty absurd. So I think if there was ever a reason for LeBron to leave Cleveland, it's because he can't even trust his own front office. Like I mentioned in the intro, LeBron is a top 2 player of all time, and he'll be the greatest player to ever wear a Cavaliers jersey. And the fact that Dan Gilbert is treating him like this and not even running a decision as big as this through LeBron James is ridiculous. And this might be the fall of the Cavaliers, because if they don't bring in a good GM this offseason, LeBron's going to walk away in free agency, and it's all Gilbert's fault once again. LeBron finally gets a good GM in Cleveland. I mean, he had a great GM in Miami, but when he was in Cleveland, they never surrounded him with good talent. The best players he had back in his first tenure with Cleveland included guys like Antoine Jameson, Mo Williams, and an old Shaquille O'Neal. But besides that, they never surrounded LeBron with another quality star. Finally, he gets the GM that led him to a championship, David Griffin, and Dan Gilbert lets him go. And I wouldn't be too surprised if LeBron decides to walk away next free agency in 2018. So we talked about why LeBron could leave Cleveland, but let's talk about what's next. It was known that the Cavs and teams like the Pacers and Bulls were in deep discussions involving a trade for either Paul George or Jimmy Butler. And because of this bad news that occurred at the worst time possible, a lot of this trade talk is paused for the moment. Currently, assistant GM Kobe Altman is calling the shots, but even then, how much experience does he really have? So as of right now, all of those trades and trade rumors are paused at the moment, and hopefully, I'm hoping so much that the Cavs can get a deal for either Paul George or Jimmy Butler within the next couple of days, but it'll be hard without David Griffin. As for who will become the new general manager, Chauncey Billups, former Finals MVP and Detroit Pistons star, is the front runner for the position. And when I first read this, I was kind of confused because Chauncey has zero front office experience. I mean, Chauncey's a leader, there's no doubt about that. I mean, he's led teams like Detroit to the finals. He took the Denver Nuggets, him and Melo, took the Nuggets to the Western Conference Finals in, I believe, 2009. So Billups can lead a team, as a player that is. He has absolutely no front office experience, and I don't know how beneficial he'll be for the team. And if LeBron doesn't like him, it's just another reason for LeBron to leave Cleveland in the offseason. So if this new GM doesn't work out, whether it's Chauncey Billups or some other guy they decide to bring in, Gilbert, for the second time, will run LeBron his most prized possession out of Cleveland. LeBron's contract expires next year, and he has all the leverage to go anywhere he wants. Now, I may talk about this in another video, but there's a report that came out saying that Dan Gilbert and David Griffin may have disagreed on trading Kyrie Irving. Apparently, Gilbert wanted to trade Kyrie, or wanted to at least have some discussions with him, and Griffin was not having it. Whether this report is true or not, once again, it's another reason why LeBron will leave Cleveland. But the main reason why LeBron should and probably will leave Cleveland in the 2018 offseason is because Dan Gilbert made the stupid mistake of getting rid of a general manager that LeBron actually trusted and respected. And at the end of the day, the general manager position is one of the most important spots on an NBA team, because they're the ones who are calling the shots for the rosters, not the players. And if they bring in a GM this offseason and he doesn't do anything, he doesn't make any special moves, LeBron will leave Cleveland. It's as simple as that. So I want you guys to let me know your opinions in the comment section down below. What do you think of this whole David Griffin situation? Do you think Dan Gilbert was right to get rid of him? And do you think LeBron will leave Cleveland next offseason? Let me know in the comment section down below. I'll have a bunch of NBA draft content coming out for the rest of this week, so make sure you guys hit that subscribe button and also hit that like button. But that's it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'm out. Peace.